Well, welcome back to another episode of the Cruise Conversations podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Frank.
And today's episode is episode 102, and we're sitting down with Jason to talk about his recent 3-night Utopia of the Seas sailing. Let's jump into it. All right, well, like we said at the start, today we have Jason here on the podcast. Jason's been on the podcast numerous times now, and we've talked his Mediterranean cruise, MSC Seashore, Margaritaville at Sea, and today we're going to be talking about his 3-night sailing on Utopia of the Seas. Jason, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, guys, for having me. I'm glad to be back.
Jason, this is a 3-night Utopia of the Seas cruise. Now, this is a cool itinerary because it doesn't stop at Nassau, and I feel like you may laugh, but for those that go to Nassau all the time, it's kind of nice to have a weekend cruise and have a sea day. So that is a cool itinerary, going to Perfect Day at Coco Cay. Now, who were you traveling with on this cruise, and what made you decide to pick this ship and itinerary?
So the decision was made by some friends of ours, Damon and April. They were celebrating their anniversary, which was later in the month, and they decided they want to do a 3-day cruise. And he doesn't like to go away for a week because he owns his own business, so 3 days is kind of more his thing. And so they invited us to go along. My wife's like, hey, you want to go on a cruise? And I'm never going to say no. So she's the one that says no, not me. So we went with Damon and April, of course, my wife and I. So the four of us went. And so, yeah, and I will reiterate what y'all just said, that it is nice to not have to stop at Nassau. So I've only been there once, and that's plenty. Check that off the bucket list.
Yep.
Now, like we've mentioned on the podcast in the past, you live in Georgia. So how was your trip down to the cruise port? And did you guys spend any time in Port Canaveral before the sailing?
So, yeah, we live right on and keep in mind, we live on the Georgia-Tennessee line because they live in Tennessee. So they picked us up. We drove down to Canaveral the day before. I would like to say that we stopped. There are 4 Buc-ee's between us and Port Canaveral. On the way down, we were able to hit 3.
Nice.
And on the way back, we hit all 4. So, bravo to us. Something about stopping at Buc-ee's makes the trip worthwhile. So,
I agree.
So yeah, we drove down the day before, and we just kind of we stayed at a hotel there, really just right across the street, which we stayed in the Spring Hill Suites, I think, right across from the terminal there.
Nice.
So we were within walking distance of the terminal. Not that we would have walked it, but you get the point.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't really do much there. We did the obligatory hit Walmart. I think everybody has to do that on the night before the cruise if you've driven down. I think that's a requirement. It's written somewhere in the contract. And went and grabbed some dinner. There was a restaurant right there by I don't know, it was an Italian place. I forget the name. We got some pizza. It was pretty good.
Yeah. I think I've been to
and
that.
Then we got
Italian
ice
place.
cream. Don't forget the ice cream. We got ice cream down the street too, so there was that.
Nice. Yeah, the Italian place is good in Port Canaveral. The one, main one on the strip there, I've been to it a bunch of times. It's so good. How was the traffic? I guess getting to the port should have been pretty easy for you guys, being that you were right across the street. How was it getting to the port? And then how was the embarkation process on the second largest cruise ship in the world?
So yeah, so obviously we drove over. I think it opens at 10. April had stayed up till midnight and got there boarding at 10:30. I did not, and so my boarding was 11:30, but they let all of us on at 10, so there's that. I don't know that anybody even looked at our boarding times. So we drove over. Getting in was, I won't say it was confusing. There's people trying to get out, people trying to get in, because we got there, at 9:30. So we were going to get there and wait, which we did. And we got in there and we parked. We could have parked as close to the terminal really as we wanted. We chose to park out just a little bit for ease of exiting. And wasn't that far from, it's probably 100 yards from where you go to stand, where they finally open the doors. And we probably didn't stand there. I guess they opened them right at 10. I wasn't paying attention to my watch, but we got there and got in line somewhere around 1:45. And 10 o'clock they opened, let us through, and we went in and we checked in. They verified everything, and then they took us to another area, and we sat down. Probably, let's put it this way, Damon got up to go use the men's room, and they were calling us before he got back.
Oh, wow.
It was that quick. So it was we probably didn't sit there for 5 minutes, and then we were on the boat. I mean, we all but walked on from the car to there. Had we gotten there after they opened, we probably would have walked over. So it was seamless. Now, again, we were some of the first ones on board, so if we had waited until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it might have been a different story.
Now, like Frank had said earlier, this is the second largest ship in the world, and this is kind of a change up for you, Jason, because, you know, a lot of the ships we've talked about, like we said, you're sailing in the Med, Margaritaville at Sea, even the Seashore to an extent, are smaller ships compared to this ship. And I know you had kind of talked about you eventually someday had wanted to sail a larger ship to kind of see what you thought about it. So we're going to dive into a lot of that today throughout the podcast. But let's just go over your first impressions. What were your first impressions when you walked on to the Utopia, the seas, and what were some of the first things you did when you got on board?
Well, my first impressions is it is very large, and it is. I mean, it's a magnificently beautiful ship. They put you in on, I think, deck 5, and they put you in, I think, right there in was it Boardwalk? Is that what they put you in at?
Promenade.
I think it's Boardwalk. Promenade. Okay. I knew then. It's been a minute, and I may have that in my notes, but you know I'm not looking at them. But you walk in and you're kind of, I mean, everything's right there, and you got the different levels up, and you can see the inside balcony rooms and all that stuff, and it's pretty magnificent. You know, and what we usually do, and we mimicked on this one. First thing we did is we had to stop at the Starbucks there for my wife to get her new favorite drink, which I forget what it is, but Starbucks is overpriced coffee flavored drinks. I don't like it. I like my coffee black. So anyway, we got her a drink, and then we went up to the. I guess we went to the buffet. That's where you're supposed to start in it.
Yeah.
But we always go to the top of the ship, and we go from fore to aft. And we walk everything, and we go down floor to aft, and we just continually till we get all the way down to the bottom of the ship. And we got down enough. Of course, we ate. I think we actually started, and we did walk a little bit, and then we waited until a little bit later. I don't know, not much later. I probably got to, I think, deck 16 there where the buffet was. And we did eat, and then finished walking the ship. At some point, I think at 1 o'clock, they tell you they tell you in advance, hey, your room's going to be ready at 1. There's no announcement, no nothing, but 1 o'clock, you can go to your room. So we were on the 14th deck, and we were overlooking Central Park. So anyway, we ended up walking the whole thing. We went to our room, and then after that, we dropped off the backpack and this other stuff that we had carried on. And I want to say that our luggage was already there too, but it may not have been there quite yet. But it wasn't there much long after that if it wasn't there then. But so yeah, we got there, got to our room, and then finished walking the ship, saw where everything was, kind of got a lay of the land, and don't remember then the muster drill. I'm trying to think through the muster drill. When you first, guess what it was? When you first get on, you walk back and you go to wherever your station is, and they scan you in. So it's the new way. You don't have to go line up on the deck. They scan you in, and then you're kind of free to roam.
Yeah, I was nervous about the room that we booked you in because, you know, being under the pool deck, it could definitely be noisy, especially Utopia is like their weekender kind of party vibe that they lean into it on the pool deck with the music. So how did you like the room? I know you said you had one of the Central Park balconies. What did you guys end up thinking about the room in terms of size, in terms of the view looking down over Central Park? Obviously, you didn't have to pay full price for the ocean view balcony. Would you do it again, knowing what you know now about the room?
The room was nice. I would say standard size. It wasn't any. Well, this being our first time on a modern Royal Caribbean ship, it's hard to have something to compare to. So, comparing to my most recent venture which was MSC, the room's probably a little larger. The bathroom certainly is, and the shower, no doubt, is larger than the MSC Seashore. But it was pretty typical room. As far as the balcony was concerned, it was kind of neat. I don't think that I will ever stay in an inward-facing balcony again because I want to see the ocean. It was fun. It was kind of a bucket list item. We did that obviously intentionally on a 3-day cruise because it really wasn't that big of a deal for that. I mean, an inside cabin, quite frankly, would have been good for this one as well. But we wanted to give an inside balcony a shot. But I think that in the future, if I'm going to have a balcony, I'm going to have an ocean facing. I'll pay the premium if that's what I want. I just didn't see the some other friends of ours that cruise all the time. They're like, "Oh, we love to watch people," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't."
Yeah, that's a good point. I know on our cruise together earlier this year, we had the boardwalk balcony, and I know I haven't done a Central Park balcony. I don't know if you have, but I think the nice thing with ours is we were able to see a little bit of the ocean, so we kind of got a little of both. But I don't know. I think I would try a Central Park once, but I think you too, like you said, Jason. There's something about just sitting on your balcony and just seeing the ocean in front of you that you can't beat.
Like I said, I'll never say never to anything, but opportunity presents itself for a boardwalk balcony. I might consider that. There seems to be a little more foot traffic, and when you're on the boardwalk, you can look back, and if you can see around the Aqua Show wall, you can see some of the ocean to the aft of the ship there. But in the boardwalk, I mean, you don't have any idea that you're on the boat, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Other than the 16-hour-a-day music coming from the pool area, you can hear that really well from your balcony.
That's true.
It doesn't bother me, and I hear a lot. I did read some where some people were like, "Oh, on the 14th deck's awful. All you can hear is the pool." Yeah, you can hear it. Honestly, even if it was playing at night when I was ready to go to bed, I'm going to go to sleep. It's not going to keep me up. Nothing is going to keep me up if I'm ready to go to bed. We do take a noisemaker that plays. We play storms, and so that nothing interrupts us. So there's that too. But that was a little. You could hear it pretty well, let's put it that way. But again, we were on the 14th deck. Maybe we'd stayed on the 10th, maybe, or something like that. Maybe it wouldn't have been as bad. I don't know.
All right, so you dropped off your backpack and things at your room. Now it was time for sail away. Like Frank had mentioned, Royal Caribbean tries to do a little more on their pool deck with this ship and sailing for sail away. Did you guys end up going up to the pool deck for sail away, or what did you guys end up doing?
We didn't, and I did look at my notes, and for the record, we went to the Windjammer first, and then we walked the ship, so I was confused on that.
Thank you. Thanks for correcting.
We went to, where did we go? It is right there. Finished our walk through, then went to an alcove off of the jogging track for sail away. It was a little quiet area. If you walk around the jogging track, there's on each side of the ship, there's this little spot, and one side had maybe both. One had a ping pong table, and a shuffleboard, and then some chairs and stuff to sit there. So there was a couple people already there, but we were able to find some spots and sit down and watch sail away from there. We're not ones for going up to the big parties and stuff. I usually like to get to a nice vantage point to be able to watch without being annoyed by other people. So
Look at you.
We stayed away. Yeah, we stayed away from the sail away party, and part of it was because we realized that we were leaving. And we're like, oh, crap, let's go look, see out. So we went and found we were on that level going around the jog track. So we headed to the quickest spot we could find to be able to watch. That was as much as anything, although we would not have gone to the sail away party by the pool anyway. Remember, guys, we're old. Right?
No, you're not. That's a good spot. It's like you read the Oasis Class book. It's like one of the top spots to do the sail away is like either on the aft behind the Aqua Theater or on one of the sides because it's not super crowded, good view of the water. Right. You're only 5 decks up, so that's a nice spot.
Yeah, it was nice. It was very nice. And it's quiet. So I will say this, that if you're on the jogging track, it's got signs that says do not go this way. The number of people who can't read was remarkable.
Well, Jason, we have a lot of questions about Utopia of the Seas, but before we go through that, you had your one stop, right? You had perfect day at Coco Cay. Now, I think you had some preconceived ideas about Coco Cay. I want to hear kind of how that came to fruition, or maybe it didn't come to fruition. But what did you guys end up doing for perfect day at Coco Cay, and what were your thoughts on, the beaches, the pool, the food that you got to experience on the island?
So I like to call it Coco Cay because I'm a snob, and I think it's how you pronounce it. But it's very clear that Royal Caribbean's promotion is perfect day at Coco Cay, right? All right. So I was in an argument with somebody about that today at lunch. But he actually asked me, hey, where'd you go? I said, Coco Cay. He said, oh, I've never been there. He said, I've been to Coco Cay, but never Coco Cay. And I'm like, are you serious? Okay, so first of all, again, we're not really into crowds, and I don't like water parks. So there's that. There's way too many scantily dressed people that are sweaty at water parks, so I'm just not really into it. So we didn't. Plus, I didn't really want to spend the extra charge. I think Damon and I would have done it if it had been a little more price. I just think it's a little expensive personally. It's like $120 or something like that, or that might have been the pre-cruise price. I don't know what it would cost the day of. But what we did is we got off, and we had done a little bit of research. I'll give Royal Caribbean this. Their app, when you're on the ship, is fantastic. One of the things you can go look, you can see a map of Coco Cay, and it's you can see where everything is. Now, if you've never been there, you may not know what half of it means. But once you've been there, you get a better feel for it. We spent the day at Chill Island Beach. We went over there, got a couple of lounges. We kind of got them. It's if you're coming from the ship, it's basically straight out to your left.
Yeah.
Although it's funny because the tram takes you out to the right and brings you back around.
You do the whole circle.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so we were going to go to, was it South Beach, which is way in the back, far right corner, if you will, which I think you're docked on the north, if I recall correctly. But just from the ship, we were going to go back there, but the first stop was Chill Island, and we're like, well, there's nobody here. So we were like, why keep riding? We'll just go here. So we went, got some lounges and some umbrellas, and we had taken some masks and snorkels. We did not take our fins, too much to pack for a 3-day. And we went out and snorkeled a bit. I will say, we've snorkeled St. Thomas twice. I've snorkeled at the Grand Caymans. I've snorkeled in Cozumel. All of those got really good snorkeling. And Coco Cay, coming off the shore, it was really nice. There was a lot of cool looking fish there. Not a lot for coral. There's a lot of, some sort of seaweed on the bottom. But there was a lot of fish to see. I was impressed for wading in and swimming around. I could see quite a bit. So I was pleased with that. We spent some time there, and then when we were done with that, we moved over to the pool area. Was it Oasis Lagoon, I think?
Yeah.
We went there and found some lounges. Now, it was much harder to find a spot to sit over there, but we were able to find 4 lounges together, kind of in the back 40, not right at the pool, but back behind it a bit. And then we went up, and Dame and I went up and got a drink at the swim-up bar just to say we did, get another checkbox thing. We spent some time there. Went over to the buffet they had just right adjacent to that, kind of between it and the Chill Island area. The buffet was hamburgers, hot dogs. I don't remember what else they had. That's what I had. I will say this. There's a lot of birds there. There was a lady who, we didn't see this, but somebody told us that they had just witnessed it as we were sitting down, was turned to get her condiments or something to put on her hot dog, and a bird came and stole her hot dog. And then there's chickens running around. The only other place I've seen chickens, I don't remember. I know I saw them at Half Moon Cay when we were on a Holland America cruise. Chickens running around everywhere. I don't remember seeing them at Great Stirrup or MSC, Ocean Cay. But they may have been there. I don't know. But there's certainly chickens running around Coco Cay.
Yeah.
My wife does not like birds, so that always makes it entertaining for me. So, yeah, we ate there. Yeah, a lot of birds. But no, it was good. And then we went spend a little more time at the pool, and then we headed back in about 2 o'clock, I guess it was. But so we didn't spend a lot of time out there. But overall, it was nice. A little busy for my liking. Comparatively speaking, I prefer MSC's Ocean Cay. Seems to be much more laid back and kind of chill. But there are those areas on Coco Cay where you can go find those chill areas. And I'm probably not doing it justice because we spent, if you remember back when we talked about the seashore, we spent all day and an overnight at Ocean Cay. So a little different experience than having to watch the clock to be back on board at a certain time, right? So
yeah.
But overall, now if you're one of those types of people who wants to go, there is plenty for you to do. We like to just chill, and we could do that too. So people with kids come sit around you. But I digress.
Well, it sounds like overall you had a good day at Coco Cay. I mean, like you said, you got to experience some of the beach, some of the pool, some of the food on the island. I do agree with what you said about Ocean Cay, how it does feel more laid back. But like you said, too, also just like having an overnight there is super cool. And I wish Royal did more of those with Coco Cay.
They haven't done it in a while. I mean, they did do it a couple times, but it's not a consistent thing.
I will say this. I meant to mention this. When we came back on to the ship, Royal Caribbean doesn't talk a lot. I'm used to MSC or in Holland America and Celebrity, which gives you, I won't say too many announcements, but a plethora of announcements and lets you kind of know what's going on. And even when we got back on board, we'd went and got our towels when we were getting off. And when you walk in and the elevators are there. I think you're coming in on deck 2. The towel dispenser, if you will, the person passing them out was on deck 3. And the people taking the towels up were also on deck 3, but there was no signage and nobody directing you to that. So we went straight to the elevators, which were on deck 2. So we ended up having to wander around and take our towels up to the pool area to turn them back in, only to find out later that we could have turned them in on deck 3. And I don't know, maybe I'm nitpicking here, but it would have been nice for them to at least say, hey, deck 3 is where the towels go. But I don't know. Just there didn't seem to be a lot of communication. Other than the captain telling everybody to go do their muster drill on day 1, I don't recall them doing hardly any announcements at all during the cruise over the loudspeakers. I'm sure they did something, but it wasn't much. maybe maybe people like that. But I remember some of the other cruises, there would be like a morning and an evening. Hey, here's what's going on. How many cruise director? Here's what's going on today. Hey, how many cruise directors? Here's what's going on this evening. There wasn't any of that. So I don't know, little odd, I thought, but maybe that's a Royal Caribbean thing, and I'm just not used to it.
No, I mean, usually they do have the morning, the evening, and then the captain comes on during the day. So usually the captain does the noon, like, hey, this is where the ship is located, or like a weather update. And then the cruise director will normally say something in the morning, probably not on the Coco Cay day, but like on a sea day to say, hey, like, here's what the activities are. And then in the evening to say, here's what's happening around the ship at night. But you're right, maybe other cruise lines do more than that.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, it could be that we just missed it, and
yeah.
I don't know. I don't recall it. So anyway, there's my gripe for that.
All right, so let's move on to your sea day now on the sailing. Like Frank said earlier, you didn't have Nassau, so you just had a day out at sea. What did you guys end up doing for your sea day? What parts of the ship did you go explore? Did you kind of go into it with a plan, or did you kind of just go with the flow for the day?
Kind of went with the flow. We did go. All right, so start off the day. Damon is an early riser on the cruises. The 2 cruises we've been on with him, he, like I said, he owns his own business. He takes his computer up to the buffet area and sits down because he gets up like at 5:30. Even on vacation. He's an odd duck in that arena. He's an engineer, so am I, but whatever. But he gets up, he'd go work until everybody else would get up. But he got up, I think he told me he got up a little before 6, and I ran into him. I got up at 6:30, and I ran into him at the elevators. And I went up, we were on deck 14, the Windjammer's on 16. And I went up the stairs, and I ran into him at the elevator bank right there by the Windjammer, and the Windjammer's still closed at 6:30. And I'm like, I've never seen a buffet. It didn't open until 7. So we ended up going down to the Central Park area, Central Park area. I'm drawing a blank. What is it? The Cafe Promenade? Is that what it's called?
Park Cafe.
You can get what is it?
Park Cafe.
Park Cafe. Yeah, it's open 24 hours. You can get coffee down there. Went down there and got our coffee down there. But I don't think the only other ship that I've ever been on where they like literally completely closed the buffet was the Rhapsody this season of the Royal Caribbean ship. They actually threw us out one time at night. It was like 10 o'clock because they were trying to clean. Royal's the only cruise line that I have ever seen that just literally will shut down the buffet area in between meals, which I find to be odd because I like to go in there. That's one area you can go in there and kind of chill out and sit and see the ocean. And for them not opening till 7, I'm an early riser, generally speaking, and I didn't like that. I know it's a sea day, and I know it's a 3-day, more or less, a booze cruise because all you're doing is going to their private island and hanging out at sea and floating around. There's nothing else to do. I guess there's an assumption that everybody's going to stay up late and sleep late, but that's not me. I get up early anyway, not quite as early as others, mind you, but I'd like to be able to go to the buffet and go ahead and sit down and relax instead of having to. Anything that starts after 7, to me, I feel like I've wasted my day. So, again, I'm old. There's that. So anyway, I didn't like that. So now back to your question. We went up. We all got up there probably by 7:30 and we're eating breakfast and doing whatever. And Damon and I went and we rode the Abyss slide. It was all right. I won't say that I was impressed. I felt like I was going down in slow motion. It's dark. I don't know. It'd be nice if they had, some plexiglass coverings on it instead of a dark slide so that you can actually kind of see where you are. I don't see. They lose too much of the value of having a huge slide at the back of a huge ocean ship, and all it is a slide, and it could be in the middle of Manhattan for all I know because I can't see anything out of it. So I don't, it drops 6 floors or 8 floors, whatever it was, but if I can't see, it's just dark. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought it would because I do like slides. I think those type of things are fun. But I feel like I went down really slow, and I really couldn't see anything, and it was a little bit of a letdown, I thought. We did another one. Johnny Rockets closes apparently at 10:30 or something, or 11. It opens back up at noon, which again I find odd. But I wanted a milkshake. We got the beverage package. We did not get the drinks package, but the beverage, and it was included in that. So I wanted to get a milkshake. Anyway, I went back later and got it, but it was good. I will add. That was, other than the slide and scheduling our day around Johnny Rockets, we just kind of milled about. They do have a non-smoking casino It's much smaller, but my wife and I went into that. The smoking one really wasn't that bad. Although there was a lot of people in the smoking casino. The non-smoking, not so much. But we went in there. Damon and April don't play the slots much, but so we didn't spend too much time in there. I will say that this time, normally my wife is the winner. This time I was the winner. Didn't win that much because we didn't play that long, but between the two of us, we put in $120, and I walked out with 164. So, yeah, yes.
There you go.
Now the IRS will be wanting to know where their part of it is. So, my $44 profit. They do have again, I didn't write the name of it down, did I? The Boardwalk Doghouse, yeah, I did. They have hot dogs and brats and stuff right there in the boardwalk area. It's right next to Johnny Rockets. As soon as you walk to the boardwalk, those are really good. I had one of those each day, so highly recommend.
I think that brings us into food, Jason. We got to talk about the food that you had. I know you're a main dining room guy, so you did the buffet.
Yes.
You mentioned the Boardwalk Doghouse. Sounds like you ate maybe some in the cafe. I don't know if you were able to get the famous Kummelwick roast beef sandwich there in the Park Cafe. But how did you enjoy the food on board the Utopia of the Seas, and how did you feel like the quality of the food was compared to some of the cruises that you've been on in the past?
Didn't have any complaints about the food. Again, the brats were fantastic. They ate twice. I actually got a brat both times and took it up to the Mexican restaurant, the El Fresca.
El Loco Fresh.
Yeah, Loco Fresh. I can't keep up with the names. So Loco Fresh, yeah, I went up there. The three of them went and got food from there, and I sat down and ate my hot dogs. But no, that was no complaints about the Windjammer. The food was fine, no issues there. I will say this, except for in the morning, if you got coffee any other time of the day, like if you wanted to go up and get dessert and a coffee in the Windjammer, the coffee was cold, lukewarm. So I don't know if it sat there all day or what was going on, but other than first thing in the morning, the coffee was not as warm as I would like. Well, that was a group decision or group in agreement on that. Again, like you said, we ate the main dining room. I guess all 3 days. Service there was great. The food there, no complaints at all. The wait staff was fantastic. It was good food. I did not write down what we ate this time. So I don't remember, but somewhere I have a copy of the Daily Bugle. What do they call it on the Royal Caribbean?
The Cruise Compass.
Cruise Compass, yes. It's electronic. You can actually get a paper copy if you want. But I also had kept a copy of I had downloaded a copy of the menus, and I think I printed them off. I don't have them handy here with me, but so I could recreate what I had. But they did have some crab one night, and it was fantastic. So overall, the food was delicious. No complaints at all from me on the food. I rarely will complain about the food. I'm not that picky.
Did you end up getting any like late night pizza at Sorrento's?
Well, yeah, every night.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Just making sure.
That's why we got on the cruise ship. So no, pretty much each night we would we had shows scheduled for the first night. Well, I won't get into that yet. We'll go there in a minute. But pretty much every night after whatever show we attended, we would go hit Sorrento's at 10:30, 11 o'clock, whatever time we were done. So yeah, that's I'll take MSC's pizza over that, but it was really good pizza.
Okay, that's fair. I've seen so many videos of people on the World America raving about the pizza, and a lot of people will say it's the best at sea. So I think saying that it's not as good, but you'll still take it is definitely a compliment to the pizza.
Yeah. It was going out again. I'm not one to turn away good pizza either. I mean, I'll even eat Little Caesars if I have to,
Yeah.
right? So.
All right, let's move on to add-ons. So like you already mentioned, you had the refreshment package on this sailing. Did you end up adding anything else, whether spa packages, Wi-Fi? And if so, how were your experiences with the add-ons?
We did not. Damon and April had the Wi-Fi. They didn't say anything about complaining about it. I think it was fine for them. They got it. Of course, like I said, he tries to do a little work. Although I don't know if they got their money's worth out of it because his words, this is the least I've worked in 4 days since I took over the company. So good for him.
Yeah.
Nice.
But we just we had the base, whatever it is. You log into the ship's Wi-Fi so you can use the app. When you have that, you can send iMessages. So even if you're on, somebody on land, you can send iMessages to them. And I guess if you use WhatsApp and some of the other messaging services, you can communicate via those. But the only problem with that was Damon has an Android. April and Rachel and I all have iPhones. So we could communicate with each other, but he had no idea what was going on. They could communicate with one another because they had the Wi-Fi package. But I kept pricing the lower tiered alcohol package. The lower tier, they have 2 tiers. I think they do.
No, just one.
Okay, just one. That's what it is. But they have a range, so you never know what it's going to cost. That's the funny thing with Royal Caribbean. But it was pre-cruise. It was as low as $63.99 per person per day, but I still couldn't justify because my wife just doesn't. That would be equivalent to drinking for her probably 4 to 5 drinks a day, and she's just not going to do that, and that'd be per person. And I wasn't going to justify me having 8 to 10 a day. So, it just didn't financially make sense for us. What we should have done was we should have put Damon and I in the same room, and then Rachel and April in the same room. And then Damon and I could have got the drink package, and then we would have made sure we got our money's worth out of it.
Hey, we told you this too. You could also call Royal and say, hey, my wife doesn't drink. She wants to, care about her health or whatever your excuse is. And they'll let her get the refreshment, and then you could get the alcohol too. So for anyone listening, that's another good tip.
We thought about it. We just I don't know. It just wasn't that big of a deal. We just kind of monitor. We don't know if my wife. I think she got 1 or 2 drinks, but throughout the entire cruise, Damon and I both got several. But we kind of watched, and we made out. We would not have, for what we drank, we would not have spent. But had we bought the package, we would have certainly done our college, good old college try to get our money's worth out of it. And just there was no need in that.
Now, speaking of the refreshment package, you did have, like you said, you got the milkshakes from Johnny Rocket since that was included. Did you find yourself getting smoothies at the cafe, or did you get the cup, the souvenir cup you can put in the Coke machines, or how do you end up using the package?
Never did get a smoothie. We did get the souvenir thing. It's kind of handy. You can go up to the Coke machines and just get whatever. Sometimes there was a line, not always. I'll be honest with you. I kind of got sick of carrying my cup around by the end of day 2. So day 3, I never even got it. I think I got it and took it maybe when we ate lunch, and that was it. But other than that, I was like, okay, I'm fine with whatever they have up there that I can get. Without having to have the cup. And you could go up to a bar and they would give you a Coke. It wasn't like that. That's just. It's they have the machines like they have at some of the fast food joints where you can go up there and get a litany of items. I'm a peach mellow yellow zero kind of guy. Can't get that at the bar, but I could get that at the little drink machine. So yeah, it's handy. I found carrying the cup around to be cumbersome and just chose not to. And I would go. Fortunately, we stay on the 14th deck, so if I wanted to run and get it, the room was not that far.
All right, so one of the main reasons why people book a Royal Caribbean cruise is for the entertainment on board. Obviously, in 3 nights, tough to do it all. You really got to stretch yourselves to see all the ice shows, aqua shows, the all-in production show, the comedy shows. How did you guys do? Did you feel like you were able to catch any of these shows? If you did see them, did you enjoy them, or what were your thoughts on the shows?
Yes. So we had scheduled shows for each night. Night 1, we went and saw the Aqua 82 and back in the aft of the ship. That was fantastic. That's possibly the best show that I've seen on any cruise. The talent of and just the whole, I'm an engineer and I'm watching the performers come up out of the water and knowing that the stage is rising, and I'm like, how are they going down into the water or coming up from the water and then getting out underneath or behind without all the water going out? I really need to know more. So one of these days I'm going to pay for one of the behind the ship tours. I swear I'm going to do it. But I need more than one sea day to do that though, because I don't want to waste my sea day just wondering about behind the scenes in the ship, because other things I want to do as well. But it was phenomenal. They jump off of the very, very high. I have no idea how high that is, but the highest platform up there. Personally, I think that is suicidal and stupid, but it was it was phenomenal. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I tightened up a little bit when they jumped off of it. But no, that show was outstanding. So that was night 1. We went and saw it. Night 2, we went to see All In. the signature production show. We went to the 9:30 show. It was good. Basically, I guess a variety show, whatever, singing, dancing. I've seen some on other ships that were comparable, but I thought Royal Caribbean does top notch. So no issues there. I thought it was a good deal. Night 3, we went and saw Love and Marriage, and then we left there. And after that, we went to that was in the afternoon. We went and saw the Comedians, and we sat in the very back, so that when we left early, he wouldn't see us and call us out like he did some of the other people. So, because we had to go to the ice rink and see the ice show, which fortunately is just right outside of the main theater right there. And so we went and saw the ice show. Was pretty phenomenal too. That was, I will say it was cold in there. I would recommend it if anybody has a predisposition to being cold-natured. I do not. My wife does. I would recommend wearing pants and maybe taking long sleeves to the ice show, because with there being ice on the floor, the whole room is a bit chilly. And I don't care where you sit, you're not that far from the ice. I will say they were that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
That a boat that big, and especially moving as slow as we were moving, we think we were moving about 9 knots, which is like 10 mile an hour. There's not a lot of movement of the boat. Now, I presume the seas were calm too. That stated, diving off of high dives, trying to ice skate and do jumps and backward flips and all this other stuff, and the ground's moving probably would be a little bit extra level of difficulty. So I applaud them. The ice show was top notch as well. I was very impressed.
I think this is a hot take, but I like the aqua shows. I am just there because I like the jumps, the high jumps and stuff. Like, I'm always like, oh, wow. But I feel like the ice is constantly like, oh, my gosh. Like, can you imagine? It's just, maybe it's so close. You see people flipping and like they're dragging these people. And it's like, I mean, you're just so close. So I'm like more engaged. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, I lose a little bit of patience with the aqua show. I really like it and it's amazing. But then the ice show for me just it's just insane how talented those people are, you know? It's just different, right? Like, no, it's pure athleticism on the ice show. I mean, they're just insane athletes, Olympians. Like, it's crazy.
Right. No, it is. I mean, to your point, I mean, you can hear them. You're so close, no matter where you are in there, you're so close that you can hear the skates, cutting through the ice. And I mean, you can hear them talking to each other a little bit too. I mean, it's you're really close, and it's really hard to, I don't know. They're phenomenal. Like I said, phenomenal athletes. I will add this, going back to the water show. They set towels out, so it's very clear. If you sit on I think we sat on the 4th row. If you sit on the first 3 rows, you're going to get wet.
Yeah.
So just if you're going to one of those things, just be prepared. You're going to come away wet. So I felt like I was at a Gallagher concert. Do y'all know who Gallagher is?
I do not.
No.
He was the comedian that would squash watermelons and pumpkins with a sledgehammer on stage, and everybody on the front row wore these plastic raincoats.
Oh my God!
Y'all need to do a search for Gallagher. Okay. Gallagher shows.
Well, it sounds like you had some great shows in the evenings. Let's talk about the ship layout now. So obviously the Oasis Class ship has the different neighborhoods around the ship, and we've talked about some of them already, like Central Park and the Boardwalk and the Promenade. What did you think about these neighborhoods on the ship, and how did you feel like navigating the ship was overall?
Well, the first part, I thought navigating it was pretty seamless. I was a forward observer when I was in the Marine, so I like maps. So I kept pulling up the deck map so I know where I was and going on. So that's handy. Again, I like the app. Their app is very well done. As far as the areas, the Central Park area, while it's neat and I liked it, just doesn't have the ship vibe that I personally am looking for. It's a little too mall-esque, and maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know. I didn't feel that unless there was something specific going on, that Central Park was usually very crowded. Boardwalk tend to have much more foot traffic, I think. Oh, there was the Rising Tide Bar in Central Park. We did ride that once. That was kind of neat. It's just a big bar that goes like an elevator, but whatever. It was neat.
I still haven't done it personally.
Yeah, it's fun. It's all right.
Yeah, it was fun. I got on there and ordered a drink.
We never talked about the mason jar and the pesky pear. Did you end up checking out those bars at all?
No, I did not. To my knowledge, I didn't make it to either one of them.
Okay. The Mason Jar was
So-
the country bar with the live like country trio.
Oh yeah. I know where it is. That's right outside the Windjammer. Yes, I know where it is.
Okay.
We went in there by accident, but we didn't go in there and spend any time. No.
Okay.
The Pesky Parrot. That's right outside the Rising Tide bar
Yes.
down on like deck 6 or 8 or something like that. Yeah, we only time we went in there was to get water. So, did I get a drink there? I don't know.
They had the
I got a
frozen
drink.
they had the frozen pina coladas and stuff. It's pretty good.
Yeah, we saw it. We saw it there because we ended up in Central Park. I mean, it's Central, right? So you end up in there. Sorrento's is in there. All that other stuff. So you end up spending a lot of time, at least walking through the area. The shops are all in Central Park as well. So if you're going through all of those, you're going to be in that area. So yeah, I saw that, but it didn't ever get a drink there. As far as the neighborhoods in Central Park, again, neat. I like it. I don't know that it's for me. And Boardwalk, again, it's kind of nice. I think it's a little better because it's open to the back of the ship, so it gives you a little bit of different vibe. It's all right. The pool area, the times that we walked through it, we didn't go to the pool or get in the pool or even attempt to lay out or anything. But it seemed to be lounges readily available. It wasn't overly, and there were 6,851 people we asked out of a capacity of 7,000. I don't know if that's double capacity or max capacity. That was the numbers that the crew person gave us. So it was a full ship. I will say this, and I told you all this before we started recording, that they do a really good job of dispersing the people. I don't know where the people were. It never felt crowded. They did. I mean, it's a huge ship, but there's a lot of people on it, and they did a really good job of. I guess the only time I ever experienced crowds when leaving a show, and everybody's leaving a show, right? So yeah. I mean, obviously you're going to have a crowd then, but other than that, I felt like we could walk without feeling like I'm running into people for the most part. I will say this, that when you do run into people, usually, I don't know what it is, but families of 6 feel they need to walk side by side instead of single file. I don't know what's up with that. But as far as other neighborhoods, the Solarium was really nice.
Yeah.
We spent a little bit of time in there, not too much. We did go in there one night. We were going to go in there and hang out because this was the Coco Cay night. Because the Compass said that they closed at 1 o'clock in the morning. We went in there at 10:30, and they were rolling up the sidewalks. There was a couple people laying in there, but the bar was closed. They were cleaning stuff up, and I'm like, okay, so maybe it closed. It might have been 11. It was after 10, I know that. So I don't know if the 1 o'clock was supposed to be 10 o'clock or maybe 11 o'clock or something, but and there were other areas of the boat that I found closed. You know, we mentioned earlier the Windjammer didn't open until 7, but there were a lot of areas on the boat that I would have thought would have been open late. They were closing like at 10. I mean, Windjammer itself closes at 10, and I'm like, they just seem to close some. They close all the areas where I want to go way too early.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Again, maybe I'm just looking for old people places. I don't know, but. So anyway, we went to Sorrento's, right? Because it's still open.
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know what it is, and maybe it's the fact that they just do the short sailings. I know it's pretty tough on the crew, right? They don't get a ton of a break, right? Like it's not like doing a 7-night where they have a bunch of sea days, and so it's tougher on the crews. Maybe they're closing venues to give like the bar crew a little bit of a break. But no, that's a good point. I mean, I've never tried to go to the Solarium at 10:30 at night, but I'm sure that yeah, it's probably not very packed, and maybe they decided to close.
You're not old enough to go to the Solarium at 10:30 at night. You're at the toga party.
Oh, that's true. They do have the toga party there. I will say it's one of the nicest parts of the ship, in my opinion, by far.
It is.
It's temperature controlled. If you want to lay out, like that is to me like the coolest spot to lay out, and the chairs are comfortable. It's really nice.
Well, that's the thing, and I think I've told you all in past things, especially the celebrity boat we were on the Greek Island tour cruise, was that area at the front of the ship that has the wraparound glassed walls all around it. That is my favorite spot to go on any ship. Holland America, they have I forget what they call it, but they got games and all kind of other stuff up there. Really cool spot. The Celebrity had a bar and then a dance floor, so they had activities in there. The Rhapsody of the Seas, and keep in mind most of these are older ships that I'm talking about. They had their Windjammer was actually at that part of the ship, which is why we wanted to stay in there all the time. Some of the newer ships that they reserve that area, and kudos for Royal for not doing that on their mega ships. But some of the other, like Norwegian, they reserve that area for the Haven area, and I'm like, that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
And you're gonna make me pay extra for it? No thanks. I don't like that. But we asked our waiter Ashvin if he preferred 7 days or 3 and 4 days, and he said he certainly preferred 7-day cruises because the constant overturns just a little taxing on them. But he said by the time you get to know somebody, they're gone. And, they have, I don't know if they have impeccable memories or if they just take a lot of notes. If I were in their shoes, I'd be taking a lot of notes because I wouldn't be able to remember all of it. Because, by the third night especially, if you're on a 7-day cruise, but when you get there and sit down, they'll have you, don't even ask, they just bring your drink of choice out to you. And, again, in this boat, by the time they do that, well, they got a whole new slew of people coming in. So I could see a little bit of annoyance from a cruise perspective on that. And it seems like more of these ships are doing these 3 and 4 day cruises, and I get it from a cruise line perspective, but I don't know. I think it's a little rough on their people.
I agree.
Another thing, and this is not on dinner or anything. There are room steward did towel animals each night, or each day. They do turn down service once a day, by the way, when they ask you what you prefer, morning or evening. Which recently I've been on Margaritaville, I've been on MSC, and both of them still do 2 days or twice a day rather. I think Royal Caribbean was using they're using the COVID reset there as an excuse to not have to do cabin service twice a day. Is my personal opinion, but whatever. So the twice a day, I think, is a nice touch.
How was the service? I mean, that kind of takes us into the service a little bit. You said towel animal. It sounds like you had really good service in the dining room. What about bartenders, people around the ship? Did you feel like the service was about average compared to what you've seen, better than what you've seen, worse than what you've seen?
About on par. There's a couple of cruises that we've been on that we've spent a lot of time at one particular bar and got to know one particular bartender, and that's what I try to do because we weren't really drinking a lot on this one. I really didn't, and I would typically get a drink just whatever was close by if I was going to get one. So I never really got to know any of the bartenders like I have in some of the past cruises, and I don't particularly like that. I prefer to kind of, for example, the Solarium bar would have been my place of choice had I gotten the drink package. But them closing at 10 or 11 or whatever it was would have been a little bit of a turnoff. But overall, I thought the service, I have no complaints about the service. Our wait staff was fantastic. Our room steward, we only saw her a couple of times, but she was great. No issues there. And overall, again, I thought everybody was friendly. I didn't have no negative interactions with anybody from the crew, and what interactions that we did have were pleasant. For example, about the only time I guess we went to guest services was we had, and I texted y'all about this, we had a reservation for the Solarium Bistro on day one that we still don't know who made it. I'm accusing y'all, but whatever.
No.
No, I have no idea who made it. But it was a little bit difficult having to get rid of that. I'm trying to think, I think I ended up having a call.
Why did you have to get rid of it?
Because we didn't want to go to the Solarium Bistro for
But you don't have to get rid of it.
Well, and I don't know what happens, but it does say that if you don't cancel it, then you'll be charged. Now, I don't know if there's any charge for it or not, but still, I don't know. I mean, I didn't schedule. I just wanted. We had it. Rachel and I did, but Damon and April didn't have it. So we might have considered going, and we all had it, but I don't know. It was just I don't know where that came from. But I say this is that we had interaction. We had to interact with them a little bit on that. But other than that, the only time we really interacted outside of your normal was when we asked somebody how many people were on the boat. Overall, good interactions.
All right, Jason. Well, your weekend on the Utopia of the Seas is coming to an end. How was the disembarkation process back at Port Canaveral?
Yeah, we did the self-assist, and what time did they tell us we could leave? I think 7:30 or something like that. So we got up, and we hit the buffet, and we were ready to go. As soon as they would let us off. And, we walked off. Let me think. We walked down, never really stopped, broke into the lines, walked off the ship. They scan your card, of course. You go down there and you go through customs, and they scan your face. And you walk out. And where we walked out was Disembarkation is on the left. Embarkation is on the right, so the parking lot for embarkation was on the right. So we had to obviously walk across and around people who were wanting to now get on the boat. But it wasn't that big of a deal. It was an extra 100 yards or so. So yeah, it was simple. We walked, got in the car, and drove out. There was very little traffic getting out. Again, we got off. We were some of the first ones off the boat, and drove home. Driving home is always sad, but like I said at the beginning, we had 4 Buc-ee's to look forward to. We hit them all, and that made the trip worthwhile.
Are you getting different snacks at the different Buc-ee's?
So sometimes, yes, but on the way back, we tried to be good because I've been trying to watch what I eat. I did not, of course, on the boat, but on the way back, I was like, okay, it's now I'm not going to overdo it. So they have these little Buc-ee head peanut butter cup things, and they're like the big as the palm of your hand. Nobody has any business eating all of one of those, well, except for me. On the way down, I got 2, one dark chocolate and one milk chocolate, and I never ate I ate the dark chocolate on the way down. I never finished the other one, so I ended up eating it on the way back. But so I ended up not even getting a snack, I think, on the way back. But on the way down, I got some sort of a cinnamon roll. It was really good. I recommend, but anybody listen to this, if you haven't been to a Buc-ee's, if you're going to go to Port Canaveral, there's one in Daytona. Yeah. Just drive up and hit it. Do it. Just do it. So get an Uber. Hey, I need to go to Buc-ee's.
The first time you walk into a Buc-ee's, I feel like it's an experience. I mean, it's an experience in itself.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's almost like getting on a cruise ship.
We'll have another podcast coming out just about Buc-ee's.
That's right. It's Buc-ee's Conversations. and if you're going and you got to use the bathroom, find a Buc-ee's.
Yeah,
they're fantastic. So anyway, I could go on about Buc-ee's all day. Well, this is cruise conversations, not Buc-ee's conversations. So.
Well, Jason, let's wrap it up. Let's talk about your overall thoughts on Utopia of the Seas, your 3-night cruise. Obviously, it's not enough time. You know, it's tough, like you said, to get into that cruise routine. Might have been one of the shorter cruises that you've done. How would you say this cruise compares in terms of the service, the dining, the itinerary, the room, compared to kind of your other vacations? And, you know, any recommendations for anyone doing a Royal Caribbean or Utopia Seas cruise in the future? And is there anything maybe you would have done differently next time if you could go back and redo it?
As far as how it compares, it's on par. Not any better, not any worse. I mean, Royal Caribbean is top notch. I don't have any issues with anything they do. Like I've stated, maybe the large ships just really aren't my taste. But and maybe I'm going to try one of the mid-tier, like the Independence or something of that size at some point in the future. Maybe Royal Caribbean just isn't my taste. Maybe I'm more geared for something celebrity-like, or yes, I know they're owned by Royal Caribbean, or Holland America or something like that. Maybe that's more my speed, but I don't know. But I'm never going to say no to a cruise. I've not had a bad cruise. I've had cruises that I didn't enjoy as much as others. So we enjoyed it. I'm not having any complaints from that perspective. I would say that the service and the dining itinerary, all of it was as expected. Coco Cay is nice. Little busy, can be a little busy for my liking, but overall it was. We found a spot that was tranquil and not a lot of action. That was so you can find what you're looking for at Coco Cay. Put it that way. Comparatively speaking, that Greek tour, I keep calling it a Greek tour, like I'm on Gilligan's Island or something. The Greek cruise, the Greek island cruise on the Celebrity. Until I do another similar cruise in some special area like that, that's always going to be the tops. It was just fantastic. So removing that, the other Caribbean cruises, they've all been somewhat comparable. Some a little nicer, some a little more, just whatever. But I'm not going to sit here and diss any of them because they've all been good. Anything I would have done differently? No, I don't think so. No issues. Nothing happened. We saw all the shows we wanted to see. The one thing, there's the one show, oh man, I'm drawing a blank on it, and we missed it. And this is where I bemoan the fact that they don't do any more announcements, and the cruise compass is electronic unless you specifically ask for it to be delivered in paper, which I did not. There was the game show where it gets a little risque, and I can't remember the name of it.
Crazy Quest.
It was, yeah, that one. that one. And it was the Coco Cay day, and we missed it, and we'd heard a lot of great things about it. So whose fault was that? I don't know. We'll take the blame because we didn't do a better job of looking into the itinerary. But wish we'd have done that. Other than that, that's the only thing that we would have liked to have done that we did not do. If you're looking at a 3 or 4 day cruise and you're looking for an experience for a large ship and you want to know what it's like, I would certainly recommend it. I would never tell anybody to not do this ship. I think it's a fantastic boat. It's beautiful. Plenty to do. There's something for everyone on it, depending on, if you're like me and you're low key and you don't want to do much, you can get up and go into the solarium and find you a lounge off in the corner and, read a book, stare off into the ocean, whatever you want to do. Plenty to do if you're active. Go get on the flow rider, break a leg. I don't care. It's your problem. But again, whatever. I mean, go sit in Central Park and watch people walk by. Go to there's one thing that I will note, and I think I mentioned this on the MSC review we did. The shops and everything were open at Coco Cay. If I recall, I think the casino was too.
Yeah.
And MSC's was, but if I remember on other ships like Norwegian and Holland America, they were not when we were at their private islands. But anyway, off topic. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts. Yeah, I mean, I give it high marks. I don't have any complaints. I would just say overall, based on my taste, and this is now being my 8th cruise and my 7th separate ship and my 6th different line, I don't think that it's to my liking. I prefer, I think, a smaller ship.
Well, I think that's a great wrap up to this cruise, Jason. What's next on your cruising lineup? Do you have anything booked this year, or what's the outlook for you looking like?
Nothing booked yet. We're looking at a couple of options. We're looking at a cruise post-Christmas, somewhere around New Year's, considering doing something there with the family. I'm also looking at something in the fall potentially, although that's a very strategic Margaritaville at sea where I can leverage my Heroes Sell-Free discounts there. So that's what's next. Nothing booked yet. I've been looking. I've sent my wife a list of things for consideration, and I'll be honest with you, she's not really pulling her weight right now, but whatever. So I keep asking her every day, have you looked at the options that I've sent to you? Have you looked at the options I've sent to you? But whatever, we'll get there. So, but that's next. I don't like not having something booked, but that's first world problems, right?
Yeah, we don't like you not having anything booked either, because that means we don't get to tell people Jason's going to be back on in the fall. So Jason, get something booked, and we'd love to have you back on again. Thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate you taking the time. I feel like you gave a really detailed and thorough review, and we appreciate that, and look forward to having you on again.
Well, thanks guys for having me. Looking forward to it.
Well, we just want to say thank you to Jason for taking the time and coming on the podcast. Really appreciate his thorough and honest review of Utopia of the Seas. If you're listening and you're interested in booking your next cruise, we'd love to work with you. You can send us a text at 704-313-8556, or you can check out our website for more information. You can check us out at cruiseconversationspodcast.com. We have blogs. We've got tons of links. You can actually go search your own on your own and see a bunch of cruise options there as well. Hey, our vlog just dropped for Icon of the Sea, so make sure go check it out. YouTube, Cruise Conversations Podcast. My wife Scotty and I are on Utopia. We spent a ton of time on the ship, and we went to the #1 beach in the world, and we also got to eat at the Empire Supper Club. So if you want to go check that out, make sure you give it some love. Make sure you like it, subscribe, and we have more vlogs coming up very, very soon. With that, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Cruise Conversations Podcast. We'll see you back here next Wednesday.